What impact will this have on his life?
If he's found guilty in this impeachment trial, his legacy will be that he was impeached.
It won't. His legacy, this is what I think people don't understand. Donald Trump's legacy is that he is going to die the most powerful Republican ever.
No.
That is his legacy.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Well, then we're living in two different worlds because that's not his legacy.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you that he is the most powerful Republican that's ever lived. I'm telling you today, the reason that this impeachment won't happen is because he still is the most influential Republican in the country. And Republicans who are up for election, who are not bowing down to him, good luck to Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney is going to lose her seat because she voted to impeach Donald Trump. That's why people are not voting to impeach Donald Trump.
So that's exactly what I'm saying. So in this country, we're selfish. We won't put our seat on the line to get something done that should be done. That's the issue. So like people like Liz Cheney, good for her. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like do something that puts a little of your skin in the game.
Yeah.
Do something that actually matters. That's what I'm talking about.
I think you're living in an altruistic reality where that's utopic. Oh, hey, we have to do what's right for our constituents. Nobody does what's right for their constituents.
So then what are you talking about as far as like legislation? And this is a waste of time. They're not going to get it done anyway. It's going to be a month before we even have any kind of real
but you have now priorities. The Democrats are in position to pass coronavirus relief.
Mm-hmm.
They are. So we're going to wait a week to do that so that we can lose an impeachment trial? Now, I mean, you have...
We just disagree,
You have control of the House and the Senate. All I care about is what's best for Americans. More chaos and instability is not what's best for Americans. More people dying, rioting, and rallying is not what's best for America. What's best for America and Americans is to get vaccines into the arms of as many Americans as possible. End of story. Because when that happens, we can stop talking about whether or not we should go out to dinner. We can stop talking about whether or not we should go to sporting events.
I disagree, though. We just talked about this yesterday. You just said yesterday on the show that even if we were to get the vaccine, it doesn't mean that we can't get it again. And the only reason the vaccine really matters is because then you can't really die from coronavirus. It lessens the effects of the virus. But people are still going to die from this thing, even with the vaccine.
But when you get about 75 to 80% of Americans vaccinated, it does incredible damage to the coronavirus. It makes it much more difficult for that coronavirus to survive. And right now, even though numbers are coming down, it's raging.
Mm-hmm.
It's raging. You need the coronavirus vaccine to limit its damage. We need the economy to get going so that we don't have food lines.
Mm-hmm.
We have food lines like we've never had in this country before. We have so many people that are not working, who are not paying their rent, their mortgage, their student loans, their utilities. I mean, it is immeasurable, the damage that is being done every single day in this country while we fight over an impeachment trial where we largely already know the outcome. And it's cool that we want to send messages and we have to send the message that this is wrong. Okay, cool. Hey, everybody, this is wrong. By the way, here's this coronavirus legislation. Let's pass it. Because having this impeachment trial does not send the message that what Dickface did is wrong. That's not what's going to happen here. All this is going to do is this is going to have people stand up in front of Congress and they're going to give their ridiculous two-faced, hey, when it was a Republican president, we did this, but now that it's a Democrat, we're not going to do that. Kind of speeches, because that's how this works. It's why the Ted Cruzes and the Lindsey Grahams and all of these hypocrites that are in the Senate, they'll never lose their seats until they die or retire, which doesn't seem likely to happen. Nothing's going to change. Right? Does that not mean anything?
Yeah, I guess it does. I don't know, man. I just think Donald Trump is in my opinion, is the worst president we've ever had. I think he's done incredible damage to this country. And I think by not at least going after him in this trial on some level, you're just saying, yeah, cool. we'll see you later. Have a nice life. That's, to me,
So
what the message is.
best case scenario is what? He gets convicted and he gets impeached?
Yeah, and then he can officially never run for office again, because I don't buy that them passing a resolution will actually keep him from doing what he wants to do.
Well, I also think that you have a lot of other issues that are going to prevent him from doing that. Listen, he's a terrible human being. Terrible. We voted for a 100-year-old man instead of Donald Trump. Overwhelmingly in this country, we selected Joe Biden, who has really no business being president of the United States. In any other election against any other candidate, I would not have voted for Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. That in itself tells you how much people dislike Donald Trump. And the numbers of people who voted for him are staggering. The number of people who voted against him are even more staggering. This trial changes nothing. And I'm tired of politics as usual. I'm tired of putting people second. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of watching people just run themselves into a saw blade and thinking that there's, like, going to this coronavirus has to be controlled. And we're not doing that right now today. We're not passing coronavirus legislation so we can have an impeachment trial that we already know the outcome to. How is that at all intelligent? How is that at all the right thing to do? To his credit, Joe Biden has said, I have nothing to do with this impeachment trial. I am focused on American issues.
Yeah, that's a smart play.
This is not an American issue. All you do by impeaching this guy or putting him on trial for impeachment is continue to grow his status as a martyr. You continue to put people behind him, and you galvanize people that are behind him. Mm-hmm. And sure, in 2 years, when there are midterms, and you have senators who are protecting him, okay, great. Yeah, use it against him. Is there anybody who believes Lindsey Graham's going to lose in any election in Kentucky?
No.
Anybody believe Ted Cruz is going to lose an election in Texas? No. Josh Hawley in Missouri? Like, find me somebody who...
Doing nothing about Donald Trump is unacceptable. So whatever solution you want is fine, but doing nothing is unacceptable.
I think you're not doing nothing. I think what needs to happen is he needs to be prosecuted. There was evidence this week that he took campaign funds and put them into his own personal finances, which you cannot do. Prosecute him for that. All this bank fraud that's going on in the Southern District of New York, prosecute him for that.
Yeah.
Prosecute Donald Trump because he is a criminal, not because he's out of office and you think he played a role in an insurrection.
I don't think. I know.
You don't know. You don't know, and we're never going to know.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
I think we will know, and I think there is substantial evidence that he did. He was in meetings. He was in the middle of that process.
Hey, I have no doubt that that's true.
I'm not going to sit here and just say, oh, well, he didn't have a role. Like, this is a waste of time.
Nobody thinks he didn't have a role. It's not a matter of what you think. It's what you can prove.
Right, I get it. But what I'm saying is that hey, like, at some point, something has to be done. At some point, you cannot just allow guys like Donald Trump to just run roughshod and do whatever the hell they want, because that's essentially what he did the last 4 years. And I get it. I'm not even disagreeing with your point about, hey, we should be focused on coronavirus instead of this, but we've been focused on everything else except Donald Trump for the last 4 years. And this is where it's led us, to an insurrection, to not having coronavirus relief, to having one of the worst economies we've ever had, like, to billionaires making more billionaires. Like, it's everything that the blue-blooded American does not want. It's everything that the blue-collar guy in this country cannot have and does not want, because it screws them. So I'm just like, it's a very frustrating thing. Okay, great, don't impeach him. But then what? Okay, the Southern District of New York's going to prosecute the hell out of him. Cool, go and do that. But those are separate issues apart from his presidency. So it's not the same thing, dude. And I just... For me, it's extremely frustrating, because it's like, hey, there's nothing we can do, because guys like Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz and all these assholes who support him in Congress just will continue to kiss ass so that they can keep their seat and keep making their salary and just kind of keep living life. And it's very frustrating. And that's why I say, I'm not just going to sit here and be like, well, this is a waste of time. Let's focus on coronavirus. We're already sitting at home. We're already not living our life. Like, while we're here, we might as well get it done, even if it means that we're not.
Yeah, but think about it this way, man. Like, we happen to be very fortunate.
No, we happen to have worked our ass off to get in a good position.
But look at how many people did not have the opportunity to work their ass off. Look how many people, lost their jobs or, had relatives die because of coronavirus, because they have to go to work. Look how many people, don't have the same opportunities that we have. Look how many people are again, I just point to the 3-mile line of cars for food pantries that are all over this country. I just struggle with this idea that somehow this is all fine and dandy.
We don't live in a world or a country where we can afford, as human beings on an individual basis, to care about our neighbor or our brethren right now. That's not the country we live in. We're in a position where we have to be selfish. We have to take care of us, of ourselves. And so, yes, I have a ton of empathy for people who lost their jobs and can't make a living and are really struggling and have lost family members and are going through that. I really do. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and say that the opportunities that we have had in our life are somehow special or unique. We got here because we've been working at them for 5 to 6 years now, or maybe longer. And it just so happened that because we've been working at it for a really long time, that we're in a position to survive and be okay during a pandemic that this country's never seen before. The world's never really seen before.
Yeah.
So I'm not. Maybe I'm an asshole, but I'm not going to sit here and handicap that. Like we worked really hard to be able to. We suffered for years at that crappy radio station. And then we left, and then we went back because they told us it was going to be better. And then we suffered again and didn't make any money. And then we found Yelp, and now we're where we are. So I don't feel bad for me and you and our family being okay during this time.
I'm not telling you to feel bad. What I'm telling you to do is to have empathy for people who are not that fortunate. People in this country are suffering. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I mean, I wasn't around during the Great Depression. I don't know if there's another time where people in this country have suffered the way they're suffering now.
That's probably the only other time, comparable time. I mean, I don't think there's another. And honestly, I would tell you the Great Depression, in terms of a day-to-day experience, was probably worse just because it was so long ago. It was in the olden times that we didn't have the infrastructure we have now.
Yeah.
At least people can have a place to stay right now. So,
all I'm saying is I think we need to be focused on rising tides that raise all ships. I think we need to be focused on getting coronavirus relief. Arguing over this child tax credit is amazing to me.
Exactly.
Why are we arguing over this? There was a graph. It's on my Twitter feed. This is the other thing that and I know this is a sports show and you're here for NFL. I get that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But I'm a Chicagoan. There was a graph released, a comparison graph, released this morning of where coronavirus deaths in the city of Chicago are happening. They're happening on the southwest side. That's where they're overwhelmingly.
And is anyone really surprised?
No, because what are the communities like on the southwest side? They're overwhelmingly black. They're overwhelmingly poor. And that's where, in Chicago and in this country, we know that Latinos and blacks overwhelmingly are hit harder by the coronavirus than any other ethnicities.
So then in a perfect world, that's where the relief would go.
Right, but the comparison graph that was released this morning showing where coronavirus vaccines are being delivered in Chicago is painful because they're not being delivered in the southwest side. They're being delivered on the Gold Coast. They're being delivered on the shore. They're being delivered in the richer, affluent white neighborhoods of Chicago that are not black and are not Latino and are not impoverished. Mm-hmm. Where the spread of coronavirus is almost none. The neighborhoods that have gotten the most coronavirus vaccines are, in fact, the neighborhoods with the lowest death per 100,000 numbers in Chicago.
It's just so wrong, dude. Like it's just terrible.
But it's because there's no enforcement or focus. It's because right now, if you are white and you are rich, you are going to get a vaccine. It is that simple because there is not enough vaccine for everybody. So it's a matter of who you know and how much money you have in your pocket.
Unfortunately, it's just like anything else. Anything else in our time. You know, whether we're talking, the ability to get an interview in the NFL, whether we're talking about to get a job in the real world, whether we're talking about women getting fair pay in the workplace, it's the same thing.
But at what point do we do something to change that?
I don't know, man. I really have no idea.
I'm not trying to be a dick about this.
I know.
This is why you don't focus on impeaching a guy who won't be impeached.
Yeah, whatever, dude. I'm just telling you that.
What?
Yeah, it's frustrating. There's no recourse. There's nothing we can do. We just trashed our country for the last 4 years.
Yes.
We just trashed our country for the last 4 years, and there's nothing we can do.
And 74 million people voted to trash it again.
Yeah.
It's...
And 500,000 people are dead.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Anyway, I have real fears about...
I hate talking about it, honestly. I love politics. I hate talking about what Donald Trump did to this country.
Why?
Because it was in a phenomenal... I'm not saying that Obama was, the perfect person, but the country was in a reasonable place. You could disagree with what he does. You can disagree with policy. Okay, cool. That's basically what politics is. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yes.
But, the country was in a fine place. We could all go out to work. We could all earn a living. We could all do things. We were arguing over tax code, not grandma freaking dying over coronavirus because Donald Trump is encouraging people not to wear masks. That's the difference. And so I just have a really hard time being okay with doing nothing and there being no recourse for what he did as president. I don't even care about the policy and the international stuff. I don't care about any of that. I'm talking about right here at home with the virus, with insurrections, with all the violence he provoked. That's the stuff I have problems with. That's what's frustrating to me.
Yeah, I get that. And my biggest frustration is we continue to do things that don't help Americans. We continue to, and again, with all due respect to the Biden administration, we continue to do things in this country that support the top 1%. I mean, that's essentially what we do.
The fact is, Joe Biden is the top 1%. Well, that's a fact. That's what politicians are.
Right, but that's got to change. We can't keep electing people because they've already been there.
Mm-hmm.
You can't keep doing that, right? The problem is our society is set up, in politics anyway, to keep guys like Ted Cruz, Jim Jordan, Lindsey Graham.
Which is amazing, dude.
To keep them in power, to keep them in influence. Because we don't hold people accountable for the things they say, right? If Ted Cruz walked in here today, I would tell him to go F himself, right? I would not entertain Ted Cruz. If he wants to sit down for a podcast, sure, give me 5 minutes, I'll prepare that, and I will tear him up. But I'm never going to vote for guys. I'm never going to vote for guys just because they've been there.
Yeah.
That's why I would not have historically voted for Joe Biden.
Yeah, listen, Joe. It's not like Joe Biden's some transcendent candidate or something like that. The only reason the guy's in office is because Donald Trump is such an embarrassing candidate and did such a bad job and burned so many bridges with the average Joe in this country that they literally were just saying to themselves, I'm going to vote for whoever the other guy is. And I don't even care. Joe Biden could have the worst international policy or he could have the worst environmental policies and nobody would give a damn about that because they just simply want to move on from Donald Trump. So, I look forward to seeing who the Democrats for the first time in 15 years are actually going to bring to the table.
Well, now it's Kamala Harris.
I mean, I'm sure it is. I have real trouble thinking, and I love I love the fact that she's going to run and try to be our first female president. I would love that. The fact is I don't think she'll win. That's the issue. I don't think she'll win.
I think there needs to be new young blood in both parties. And I look at guys like Ted Cruz. I look at guys that are trying to position themselves, guys like Kevin McCarthy who are trying to position themselves to run for president. And I don't understand how, if you are the minority leader of the House in McCarthy, and after the insurrection on January 6th, you feel it is okay to go to Florida and meet with Donald Trump and take all kinds of chummy pictures with him.
It's a joke.
That's the level of power that Donald Trump has. And if you are, like me, somebody who voted Republican for a good part of your life, and you're now looking for an alternative, I'm telling you, in the Republican Party, there doesn't exist an alternative.
Needs to be Paul Ryan, but he's not going to do it.
I don't know if he'll run. I don't know that he'll run now.
Like the 30 to 40-year-old candidate doesn't exist.
No. Those are Democrats. The Republican Party is older, wealthy white males.
Yeah.
You do not see female Republicans that are presidential candidates. You do not see female Republicans that are vice presidential candidates. You don't see that. Because in a party that is rooted in the old world, women don't have a place at the top of the Republican Party.
Yeah, that's very true.
If you want them to fundraise, if you want them to organize, please. Oh, you're a millionaire, ma'am? Please give to Donald Trump's campaign. Give to Donald Trump's defense fund, which he is going to take and pay off his personal debt. Give to Donald Trump's defense fund, right? You look at the women in the Republican Party right now. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene. It is women that are.
I can't even really think of a woman who's a Republican that I could really even get behind.
No, because Liz Cheney's policy, she voted to impeach him, but Liz Cheney's policy is not earth-shattering or groundbreaking.
Yeah.
I mean, she comes from a powerful, wealthy white family. The Cheney name, obviously has huge roots in politics in Washington with the Bushes.
Yeah.
At the top of the Pentagon, like you look at what that name means. She's old world politics. I would not vote for her.
Yeah.
Right? Why did so many people want to get behind a guy like Beto O'Rourke? Why did so many people want to get behind a Pete Buttigieg? Because those are new, young, energetic names. Right?
Yeah.
Instead of Lindsey Graham, instead of the pedophile Jim Jordan, instead of.
Right. Yeah.
Yet the Republicans and the most conservative, ultra right-leaning Republicans got in bed with QAnon. And now, all of a sudden, when that turned out to be a complete farce...
And I'm thankful that people... It seems like, and I could be wrong, but it just seems like, generally speaking, people have come around on QAnon a little bit. Like, they are understanding that it's not.
Yeah, because, it got outed as a farce. Yeah. Like, you're putting... They put up propaganda that talked about face transplant surgeries for Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and people were believing this.
Yeah.
And now good old Marge Taylor Greene is out here talking about, I was made to believe things.
Yeah, okay.
You weren't made to believe things, right? Like Pizzagate, and the Democrats are pedophiles that have...
Where's Joe Biden's laptop?
Well, it was his son's laptop.
Whatever.
First of all.
Whatever. It was Hunter went over, but it was Joe. Whatever,
but it was all this. It's the My Pillow guy, right? Like that's who the Republican Party has become because you let the clown out of the box, and you didn't have control of that clown, so now he controls you.
Yep.
And Republicans don't see that.
And it really is a mental thing, because Republicans could easily, if the Republican Party in Congress just banded together and said, "Hey, we're going to disavow Donald Trump," it'd be done.
With the way that
it'd be over.
With the way that we gerrymander districts in this country, how the Republicans are not overwhelmingly in control is amazing.
Yeah.
Right? And it's because they get behind guys like Donald Trump. And then guys like Lindsey Graham back him 100%. Then like, this is it at the end. The 7th, the night of the 6th of January.
This is the end of the road for me.
This is where I get off the train, and then you're right back on the train 2 days later because we're not going to support you and the Republican Party is going to leave you because you don't support Donald Trump. So you're not going to get our fundraising money and you're not going to get our grassroots, organizing money and people. Oh, well, all of a sudden you change your tune. And this is the problem for McCarthy, for Ted Cruz, for all of these guys, all of these loyalists.
Yeah.
Who just will support him no matter what. Rand Paul refusing to wear a mask in the Senate. You look at these guys, it's guys like Rand Paul, who's a doctor who still won't believe that a mask will prevent the spread of coronavirus.
And we saw people at Costco double masking this weekend.
It's amazing.
People. Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, we just don't. Science apparently is not good enough, even though the Republicans say, hey, we're going with the science.
No,
but you won't wear a mask. And you'll believe in QAnon. Where is the science behind QAnon? Anybody? There is none. You're not the party of science.
Yeah, it must still be in the operating room with the face procedures.
And it is, what I thought was really interesting was the comparison, and I can't remember who made the comparison. We were watching, Bill Maher made the comparison this weekend. Mm-hmm. My wife is a devout atheist. Mm-hmm. She is a humanist. And what's amazing to me is that we were watching Bill Maher this weekend. I said Bill Maher.
Where is that guy?
He wants to run for president. So he's laying low.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. We were watching Bill Maher this weekend. And he made a really interesting comparison. Note that all the people in the Republican Party who believe in the unbelievable, spectacularly impossible QAnon theories are also the ones who will stand on the Bible and tell you absolutely religion, crazy, way conservative religious beliefs.
Yeah.
They're the people who believe in QAnon are also your hardcore religious folks.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense. Because as somebody, I am a God-fearing man. I believe in Jesus Christ.
Right.
I don't believe that everything that's written in the Bible is fact. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that every story in the Bible is true. Mm-hmm. And I think when you look at the theology of the really just alt-right conservative who was on board 100% with QAnon, it makes a lot of sense that they believe women should be stoned in the streets. And I love Marge Taylor Greene talking about how, Sharia law, can't have Sharia law. There's stoning women in the streets. But you believe that Joe Biden and Donald Trump had surgery to switch their faces. You believe that, Marge.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That's what I'm talking about. Like, you're calling, Sharia law, which, by the way, is insanity, right? It is. Let's just make that really clear. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you believe that Sharia law is so far out in the left field, yet you're a devout QAnon supporter. You believe that Sharia law is so far out in the left field, yet in the Bible, when it talks about stoning women, you're okay with that. Because it's not the Quran, it's the Bible. Oh, and it's law that you have to be sworn in on the Bible. It's not law. It's actually not law, Marge. Like, all of this ridiculousness all runs in very similar lanes.
You're totally right.
If you believe in QAnon, don't turn around and tell me that people who believe in Sharia law are insane, because you believe in fucking QAnon. So how insane are they compared to you? It's not that much of a difference.
No, it's
because
not.
they're both insane.
Yeah.
It's both outlandish. It's both ridiculous, revolting, and inhumane.
Yes.
Anyway, I feel better.